3 of the St. Louis Spirits rebuild. This is John Fleming. Just finished almost all of Season 2 as the St. Louis Spirits. On the transaction page right now, because I'm just trying to conceal a little bit about how the season went, I have one game left in the regular season. The last transaction that was made, I believe, was, where is that? There it is. It's the signing of Antoine Carr. That was on the last video. There's just kind of a review of the last few things that had happened. But we did make a trade in season that I'll just fill everybody up to speed on, which is that I traded John Sundvold, who, coming off a most improved player season, but somebody who had said he did not want to re-sign. And I traded him for a top 3 protected first round pick from the Mavericks, which probably is not going to be an amazing first round pick, but first round picks are something anyway. Plus Brian Warwick, who's more or less been my starting point guard since Sundvold was traded. He and Spud Webb kind of traded off. As you can see here, team record is 27-54, so a pretty dramatic upgrade over the previous season. Obviously not good enough to make the playoffs, but power ranking is 22nd, which actually means that we are only the 3rd worst team in the NBA. Let's pull up the overall leaders here. The Knicks and the Rockets are both behind. So an interesting thing here, though, is we have, you might remember this from a previous video. I actually don't even remember what the trade was, but we actually have the Rockets' first round pick, and it's unprotected. So we have 2 of the 3 best odds at winning the lottery, though I actually don't remember what the format of this particular lottery is. It might just be that we're locked into those 2 top 8 picks, but even so, that's a really helpful thing to have. Looking at, this is the roster at the end of the season. The reason Carlos Clark is in the lineup is because Andrew Toney has been hurt, kind of had off and on injuries throughout the year. Antoine Carr is not having a great time, but unfortunately, because he was signed as an RFA, I wasn't able to trade him at the deadline. But, still have Hakeem, who's, hot. Chris Mullins come along. Brian Warwick just kind of is what he is, but, Spud Webb. Here's the roster as it currently is constituted. So let's go ahead and pull up the stats for this season. There we go. Stats and standings, season stats, player stats. So, Chris Mullin is the only player that has started every game this season. Olajuwon started all but 1. And then Mike O'Koren has played in every game this season, but has not started any. Points leader, we have Hakeem at number 1, but we have Chris Mullin, who's up to number 2, and then Andrew Toney, who kind of took another step back there. Kind of showing that Andrew Toney's attitude's not necessarily super great, so I might be looking at moving him depending on how the draft goes. Honestly, with those 2 high draft picks, there's a lot of routes I could take. But, Hakeem, 12.6 boards per game. You look at those numbers, he really just has kind of improved across the board from last year. He still has the great block numbers, actually upped his steals per game. And this was the guy who won Defensive Player of the Year as rookies. Up on points, up on rebounds. No arguments for me. He's, continuing his evolution as a really strong player. Rambis has been okay as kind of a role-playing type guy. Probably more likely to be back than Antoine Carr, but honestly, neither one's exactly likely. Spud Webb has been the distributor. Also, and this doesn't really show here, but he actually won the slam dunk contest, which is a thing that happened in real life, which is, kind of one of those fascinating things where guys win the dunk contest sometimes just because they don't look like they should win the dunk contest. Chris Mullin has been, a pickpocket stealing the ball. Then Hakeem obviously leading in blocks. Let's move to the more advanced statistics. Estimated wins added. Hakeem, Andrew Toney, Chris Mullin, Spud Webb. So, Spud Webb, honestly, I haven't really dug too deep in how the other rookies are going, but honestly, if he snuck onto like an all-rookie second team as a second-round pick, would not shock me even a little bit. But obviously, beyond those 4 guys, it's looking pretty rough. But let's see what happens with the Bucks. We'll do the simulate with Simcast, even though this game doesn't really matter for either of us. I'm not guaranteeing I'll jump in like I did last video, which ironically was against the Bucks, but actually putting up a bit of a fight here. But the Bucks are kind of pulling away late. Let's check out what happened in the box score. Mike O'Koren was our leading scorer. Probably not a great sign, but let's see what happens here. Magic wins MVP for the third consecutive season. Karl Malone wins Rookie of the Year. I mean, he and Ewing were certainly the two kind of co-favorites going into the season. Michael Adams, who was a rookie, I believe. Yep. Sixth Player of the Year, second year in a row that a point guard who was a rookie got this award because John Stockton won it last year. Hakeem, once again, DPOY, a guy who I think is really starting to, make a real imprint. We'll see how if he makes it to an All NBA team this year. Could be interesting. Jared Jenkins wins Most Improved. Yeah, it's a good jump. He was All Rookie last year, but he's just genuinely been quite good. Jamal Anderson, not even sure who the Bullets coach would have been at this point in time. I don't believe his name was Jamal Anderson, though. Cameron Lee, I don't believe, was the executive, but that's what we have. And look at that. First team All NBA, Hakeem Olajuwon, with Dominique Wilkins and Larry Bird at forward, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas at guard. There's an All NBA first team that is 5 like Inner Circle Hall of Famers. So that's awesome. Second team, Michael Jordan and Fat Lever, and Charles Barkley and Terry Cummings. And then Ralph Sampson in center. So we have 3 guys who were in their second seasons who made All NBA first or second team because Jordan and Barkley were rookies last year, as was Hakeem. All defensive first team, Sidney Moncrief and Michael Jordan, Kevin McHale and Roy Hinson. Hakeem Olajuwon, once again, all defensive first team. And then team number 2, Clyde Drexler and Maurice Cheeks, Buck Williams and Larry Bird, and then Ralph Sampson. All rookie, we have Chris Mullin made the all rookie team. You look at those numbers, he was a good scorer for this team, and probably not somebody that I'm hoping will be the premium threat for the Spirits in the long term, but somebody who definitely is, if he ends up being the second or third best player on a title team, would not be shocking. But then, you have Karl Malone. Patrick Ewing was the first overall pick. Malone was second. McDaniel, I believe, was third, and Adams was 8th. Mullen was 5th. So, no huge surprises there. Second team, look at Spud Webb. So we have Hot Rod Williams and then Spud Webb, second round, first pick of the second round. And then Arvydas Sabonis, Benoit Benjamin, Keith Lee. It was Keith Lee, second round, third. Okay, good for him too. Yeah, put up a real fight there. So that is where we're at there. The Washington Bullets have the 1 seed. The Dallas Mavericks are the 1 seed in the, unfortunately, we have that first round pick of theirs for the Sun Bowl thing. But, maybe Sun Bowl can have a run with the Mavericks. That would be fun. But that's not really my concern right now. Let's just simulate the playoffs. And it is the Lakers beating the Sixers. Magic Johnson, Finals MVP. We have an All-LA Western Conference Finals. 7-game series between the Sixers and the Celtics. I'm just imagining what that game 7 must have been like. And, Sixers had a pretty well-balanced attack. Larry Bird put up 31 points, 16 rebounds, but wasn't enough. Looks pretty cool in general. So we'll advance forward. Player retirements. Bob Lanier, Nate Archibald, former St. Louis Spirit. Truck Robinson, Billy Knight, a few other guys here. I've heard of Dave Robish. Not really familiar with these other guys, if they are real people. Looking at how low their ratings are, I have my doubts. But a bunch of 40s. There's a 42 in there. I saw 44, I believe. But staff retirements: Jack Gilbert, Albert Shepard. Rick Adelman retires as an assistant head coach, which is interesting because Rick Adelman was coaching NBA teams not that long ago. I believe he's no longer a coach, but definitely was at one point. William Montgomery and Elijah Stern. Elijah Stern actually seems to have the same model that I had whenever I sort of redesigned the GM to look like me. So, that's, I don't even know if funny is the right word, but that is a thing that is true. So I did look up Rick Adelman to see when he most recently coached. He coached the Timberwolves in 2014. That was his most recent stint. But in real life, after being an assistant with the Blazers, as it is on here, he was their coach for a while in the late 80s, early 90s. He coached in the finals with them. Then he went on to the Warriors, the Kings, some really good Kings teams like the Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Peja, group. Then went to the Rockets, then went to the Timberwolves. Accomplished career that apparently is not going to happen in this universe. Jersey retirements, yeah, Nate Archibald, with the Kings, obviously not primarily with Sacramento. Actually, not at all with Sacramento, but, gets his number retired for his 70 service. Bob Lanier, similar thing with the Pistons. Historic changes. So the Bucks uniforms and floor will change. The Bucks, I know, changed their uniforms a ton throughout history. Warriors changed theirs a few times too, including now. No major changes. No real rule changes worth speaking of. Closest any of them came to passing was 12, and each rule change needs 18. So even if I wanted opposing teams to enter the bonus after 3 team fouls have been committed in an overtime period, which I can't say that is the most exciting rule change in the world, we're going to stick to it. So draft lottery, we're going to have a 25% chance of getting the first overall pick because we have 2 teams in there. So we're at 25%. Every other team that's in the lottery has 12.5%. Hopefully, and the Mavericks are really just, they were the 1 seed this year. They were in the lottery last year. They're in the lottery again this year with a Cleveland pick. Hopefully the reporter's not mean to them again. So the Nuggets get the number 8 pick. So we have 2 top 7 picks. That's good. Let's see who number 7 is. It'll be the St. Louis Spirits. So we're number 7. Feels like we deserve to maybe move up with our other pick since we moved down from the 2 and 3 spots here. Mavericks. Okay, the Nets get the 6th pick, so we will be in the top 5. I mean, we also, depending on how the scouting goes, if we wanted to trade the number 7 pick and any of the other picks, we might have a chance of moving up as high as we want to. Rockets are going to go number 5. Was that a protected pick? Actually, I didn't think it was. Okay, so I guess it was a protected pick. So I guess we only have 1 pick, and it's number 7. That's admittedly less exciting. Let's just see how the rest of this shakes out. The Knicks get number 4. Let's just sim through. Supersonics, Kings, and the Mavericks, who are the 1 seed in the West, are going to get presumably Len Bias. That's something. All right, so we have the number 7 pick. Honestly, the Rockets getting 5 is not too bad because we'll get their pick next year without protection. Honestly, the 87 draft's a little bit deeper anyway. All right, staff signing. I'm going to stick with the current guys. There really was a jump up. You see that I'm now the GM with a guy that doesn't really look like me, but I mean, he has a beard. He's a white guy. That's broadly speaking. Yeah, I'll stick with these. I'm not super psyched about the team doctor, but I'm not certain enough about that I'm looking at getting rid of him. Stouffer, the team really did improve last year. And I'm hoping that the team, by the end of his contract, is at the very least a playoff team. But for now, we'll just sort of zoom through, draft combine, skip through. So we know that Len Bias is an 81, which is something. So let's just scout, Ron Harper, Chuck Person. I'm honestly not sure what kind of team we're necessarily looking at, what kind of picks we're looking at making, but so look for some C pluses. Dennis Rodman and Len Bias have been fully scouted. Walter Berry is a C. I am going to look at Mark Price, though. I think that he could be an interesting fit because he is, such a sharpshooter. Honestly, he and Mullen kind of, working together would be a lot of fun. We'll try Drazen Petrovic, all-time great shooter, kind of a legend. Johnny Dawkins, I don't know if it was with this roster, but he's been a really good player in the past in this game. Yeah, let's just scout Jeff Hornacek, who's probably up there as far as guys in this draft. So 3 more guys to look at. Let's see who are the highest projected players. Any C pluses in there that we don't already have scouted. Jim Less, point guard out of Bradley. Yeah, I got to be honest. The idea, he does not seem like a guy that I'm going to take at number 5 or whatever it was, or number. I don't even remember. What was it? Yeah, who cares? But yeah, we'll scout Brad Sellers. We'll scout John Sally as well. He had a long career in the NBA, if not a necessarily pristine one. So let's look at the mock drafts. The Sporting News has us taking Walter Berry, power forward out of St. John's, which would be interesting because we did have a player out of St. John's with our topic last year in Chris Mullen. See if there are any other interesting picks with our like later draft spots. They have us taking Pearl Washington, who's a fun player. 2 picks in general though. Let's see what the scouting pages say. Walter Berry's not even on this top page, so it seems unlikely we're gonna take him. Where is Walter Berry? Huh. So he's actually rated a C, just like Pearl Washington. I can't imagine. I mean, I would take Walter Berry if he fell. I can tell you they're wrong about how much interest I have in him. Ron Harper is an interesting pick, though. So he's a point guard / shooting guard. He probably is like a true combo kind of guy. He's probably most famous at this point for playing point guard for the Bulls for their second three-peat in the 90s, but, was a really dynamic player, with like, the Cavs and Clippers before he started getting hurt. That would be a fun player to have. I think that if we took Len Bias, who I don't think is going to be on the board, but if we took Bias, I think we'd probably move Mullen to the shooting guard spot. Chuck Person, maybe move him to power forward. Brad Daugherty, that could work as well, honestly. Let's see. Let's just kind of look at the roster as it stands right now. We have a couple young studs in Olajuwon and Mullen. Spud Webb I'm not opposed to, though if Harper fell to us, that would certainly change things up a bit. Though in theory, we could play Harper at the 2 and try to move Andrew Toney, maybe upgrade a power forward, which has been kind of a weak spot for us. But let's just go through the draft. Let's see who the Mavericks take. They take Ron Harper, number 1 overall. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't go with Bias, but yeah, they got a guy out of Miami of Ohio with the number 1 overall pick. Okay, so Sacramento Kings, they take Len Bias. Those are kind of the two. I think Chuck Person is probably the closest thing to another headliner left, and he's off the board. So the Knicks take Walter Berry. Better you than me, dog. Yeah. Let's check out the scouting page and see who are the guys who are kind of up there. Brad Daugherty as a 79 overall definitely is appealing, but also might be a little bit tricky just based on positional fit. I would probably take him if he fell to 7, but I don't think I'm going to trade up for him. Rockets take Dennis Rodman. Nets take Mark Price. Okay, so have some trade offers, it looks like, based on the slowness here. Let's see what's available. A couple first-round picks from the Sixers, but they're a decent team, though, so I don't know that I would want to risk having first-round picks that fall, even if there's 2 of them. The Hawks are not great. The Celtics are pretty good. That would be less exciting. I mean, honestly, I'd probably be willing to trade down. So the Nets are offering me Mark Price, which is very strange because they literally just drafted him with the pick before. Could get Rodman here. Leaning towards just taking a player. Do I want to take Brad Daugherty, though? Do I want just another guy kind of in the middle? Answer, yeah, let's do it. Let's take Brad Daugherty. We'll have to move his position. Yeah, it says solid pick with Akeem Olajuwon entering free agency. I assure you that we will be picking up the team option on our first team All-NBA center / first player we've ever taken. Petrovic was a guy that if he'd fallen a little bit, I might have considered trading back up to get. There's Johnny Dawkins, a guy that I kind of mentioned some interest in. Hornacek. Are there really any players that are kind of near the top here that I'm interested in? I don't know. It's Kenny Walker, Brad Sellers. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just sim to the next user pick. I don't think there's anybody here that I want to trade up for. So we have a few C players who are listed here. Got a few guys I've heard of. Pearl Washington, like I mentioned, is there, which is fun. But I apologize for my dog barking in the background. It sounds like somebody's existing outside. That's a real shame for him. I'm leaning towards Pearl Washington. I'm gonna at least just check the trade finder, see if there's anything there that's too appealing, because there are also a few other second round picks coming. For a future first, I'd be looking at it, but for just seconds, I don't think so. I'm gonna go ahead and take Pearl Washington. Also, good orange match. I'm not going to trade up anymore, so we'll sim through 16 trade offers for the number 10 pick. I feel like I'm not going to want to make any sort of lateral moves here. Like maybe I would trade for, yeah, a second round, another pick, and then an asset. I don't want Rick Roby, though, so moving down the 10 positions, while it's not like crushing, not exactly the thing I'm looking for. So let's see who's available on the board. Have a few C's left. David Wingate was 24th. Defensive presence, very it only has one weakness. It actually sounds like a pretty appealing player. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, I'm leaning towards. I'm going to take David Wingate. I think he could be a good like depth figure. I don't imagine he's going to like become a starter at any point, but all right. So let's just see minuses. Is there anybody here that I would actually want? I don't know that there is. So who would be the most appealing player here? Ron Rowan. Yeah, I don't feel like he'd be any kind of upgrade over what I just took. So let's actually just try to trade this pick away, honestly. I mean, and look at those first round picks coming next year. Oh boy, that's gonna be a fun draft. But okay, no offers found. So yeah, I mean, we're just gonna take a shot in the dark here. Let's see. Use small. Might have some more information on this guy. Bill Cartwright as a. Let's see. Let's go for. I feel like a small forward makes sense here. Andre Spencer out of Northern Arizona. This guy Gene Banks is his comp. Let's go with Andre Spencer. Maybe we'll see. I think there's a decent chance that I end up just cutting this guy and not even signing him. But for now, let's take it. Yeah, so you're at 79. I'm pretty happy there that there was those three guys at the top that I would have wanted more, but getting Doherty at 7 feels like a bargain. So he's a 79. We'll sign Pearl Washington as a 73. Dave Wingate's 72. Spencer is a 71. I gotta be honest. $55,000. That's we'll do it. I don't know that I'll necessarily have a lot of a loyalty towards them, but we'll go ahead and make that move. Let's go ahead and just switch. Is it Doherty? Yeah, I think Doherty is definitely the one I want to switch because, yeah, Hakeem Olajuwon, kind of like an all-time. Yeah, we'll move him as power forward, secondary position center. Goes from a 79 to a 79, so no big drop off there. Yeah, Tony is certainly going to be on the board, but so we're going to accept Hakeem's option. We're going to accept Spud Webb's, and we're going to decline Joe Klein's. I think that's right. Joe Klein ended up being a bit of a disappointment. He ended up just kind of soured a bit. And then, so it looks like, yeah, Spud Webb's not super happy, but we're good. Yeah, none of these guys are super psyched to be here, which is a bummer, but there's some actual, like, decent players available. So, like, Bill Cartwright's going to hit the market. Not that we're looking at a starting big man at this point, but yeah, a lot of team options being accepted. Michael Cage just got declined, but yeah, again, power forward. And Jeff Turner. Yeah, I don't think any of these guys are particularly alluring for us. Do we want to offer qualifying offers? I think I'm ready to move on from Antoine Carr. Brian Warwick. Let's look at those stats again. Yeah, just kind of whatever. He's definitely not going to start. Honestly, I think I'd rather have Pearl Washington out there anyway. I actually don't have a ton of. Cap room's actually negative. Magic Johnson's a free agent. That's really interesting. I mean, there are some guys that we have the availability to sign if we want to. Magic's not one of them. Though Norm Nixon's available. That would be an interesting move. You've got who is a pretty good playmaker, an A plus playmaker wise. I wonder if it's possible for us to get into the can afford Magic. So 1.47, okay, 1.08. Man, getting Magic Johnson would just be so freaking insane. Let's see if we can get Andrew Toney off the books. Bulls are offering 2 first-round picks. He's not very good, or the Bulls aren't very good, and obviously with Toney they'll be a little better. Interesting. The dog is speaking down to my suggestions here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make this trade. So we're going to free up some space. I mean, this would, even if we got Magic, mean that we'd have a bit of a black hole at shooting guard. It'd be David Wingate, the second-round pick, would be our next best guy available. But let's see what offers are being made to Magic. He's being offered 5 years, 8.37. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to throw the bag at him. So we can only offer him a 4-year contract, which is a bummer, but all right, let's see. So 1.49, I guess, is the max we can offer. So let's just do that. Let's see kind of what happens here. Doesn't appear that anything's happened so far. See if we get an update. Magic Johnson signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. Can't say I'm too surprised there. I mean, this is the kind of move that would be considered a wild idea if it weren't for the fact that I wasn't really that sold on holding on to my guy anyway. Dennis Johnson and Lewis Lloyd are both available in free agency. That's interesting. What's Lewis Lloyd been doing? Okay, so I think I'm going to see what Norm Nixon's looking at. 4 years. I mean, this guy's making less than $1 million per year. I think he would be an interesting player, though that would of course create a bit of a snafu at shooting guard. Maybe I would be interested in Lewis Lloyd. He's got the 4.5-star fit. I want to get somebody here who can play really solid perimeter D, just because, especially if we're going to end up playing Spud Webb out there, that could be a real problem. Honestly, Dennis Johnson would be a pretty good fit for what we're doing, and he's just like a better player. So 4 years, 5.5. Can we entice him? How much can I throw? I can throw a lot at him. I don't know if I want to throw that much at him, but we'll try to throw, we'll go 1.4, and then the sort of escalating contract, see what DJ does here. Dennis Johnson agrees to the contract. Welcome to the St. Louis Spirits, Dennis Johnson. We'll just simulate through the next thing just to make sure he sticks around. Yes, he does. So now, and we have 576,000. We are not like totally starved here. Let's see who we have at. So our only power forward is Brad Doherty, which is not amazing, but I mean, honestly, I think that going for a point guard just kind of makes sense here, just compared to the other guys who are around. Though, I mean, DJ can certainly play point guard. We'll look at guards in general, frankly. Al Wood, Ray Williams. Could either of those guys be a fit? They could, but let's see where these guys are saying. So Drexler's back with Portland. Jeff Rulin went to the Clippers. Interesting. Buck Williams went to the Nets. Yeah, so we're keeping up here. I just realized that the teams are listed on the bottom of the screen, but no big deal there. Let's see who the guards that are available regardless of price are. I don't think that like Rolando Blackman would be feasible. Al Wood, let's see here. Putting up some pretty good scoring numbers. He would have been the draft before Michael Jordan. I'm honestly not that familiar with his game, but strikes me as a player that would be a pretty solid guy to have. Did Alvin Robertson play? So he did play last year and played with the Cleveland. Yeah. Ray Williams could be an interesting fit though, because he's somebody who can play point guard. Huh, this is a real conundrum here. So I'm thinking probably want to keep Dennis Johnson where he's at. Might be looking at getting somebody else here. Ricky Green, I guess he's hurt. This is a guy who was an all NBA player not too long ago. So that's interesting. Johnny Davis, though, only expected to make 311,000, which he's 30. Obviously not amazing last year, but could be a decent player. Honestly, could end up just kind of being a backup to Spud Webb. Could be just a versatile kind of Swiss Army knife type of player. I'm going to try to make a move with Johnny Davis. Okay, 2 years is what he's looking for. That's good because I am not really interested in getting him for longer than that. He has no current offers. I wonder how much I could lowball him. We'll try 250,000. We'll try the 2 years. That works for me. Carlos Clark is a hold. All right, it's still the only offer for Johnny Davis. I'm gonna have to keep monitoring this situation. He is signing. All right, cool. Do I want to try to pursue an actual backup power forward? Maybe, because Bill Walton's available. That's fun. George Johnson. Yeah, if I'm going to get somebody at this spot, I want somebody who can play some center as well, I think. Which is... All right, so, yeah, he's getting offers, but he's getting, like, league minimum offers. That's not what you want to see. So let's see if I can just offer Bill Walton just something. Like something, oh, he's kind of asking for a lot of money here. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to kind of try to lowball him here. And if he wants it, great. If he doesn't, so be it. And we'll offer him, where'd that go? Okay. Bob McAdoo's also available, speaking of older guys. I mean, I'd rather have Walton, I think, but we'll try $400,000 for 1 year. He has declined the offer. Okay, so what happens if I go for Bob McAdoo? 300,000 for 1 year. I would be up for that. Let's see if he's up for that. Bob McAdoo signs. So there we go. We have a roster with currently 11 players on it. We'll have to obviously find other guys, but kind of running low on cap room. Not really anybody here that's probably going to move the needle. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the player progression. Hakeem is up. Chris Mullin shot 7 spots up. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, between Hakeem, Dennis Johnson just kind of staying steady, Chris Mullin, this team is legitimately improving. Brad Doherty went down one. I guess that's because of the position change, but I mean, a 78 rookie, not bad. Spud Webb eclipsed Johnny Davis. So Johnny Davis is going to be kind of more of a backup. Kind of a lack of small forward there, which is... I could probably use somebody better than Andre Spencer. Let's build that Summer League roster manually. Let's see who's available and who we can kind of give some auditions. All right, Stuart Granger, welcome aboard. Need a couple shooting guards to keep up 3 of each position. Cedric Toney, you are in. Steve Coulter. We got a couple 76. John Gregg, Jeff Turner. I'm going to take Michael Cage. I guess I have to take Antoine Carr. Like, as much as he clearly hates being on this team, I mean, he's got to go somewhere. Bobby Hurt, we'll do that. Do Uwe Blob. Good name. Fantastic name. And we'll go George Montgomery. See how this goes. First overall seed. Interesting. Let's see how this works. I apologize again for the fact that my dog clearly sees somebody outside. See, like this round. Oh, we're actually competing here in this old summer league. I got eliminated by the Blazers, who ended up winning the whole thing. That's good for them. All-Star games in Houston. Honestly, until the All-Star game comes to St. Louis, I don't really care about those. But that's fine. 1987. Let's see if we can find one of these. And this is a big one from a getting a custom roster perspective because Reggie Miller's not available on the preloaded rosters. So, the opportunity to get a player who, obviously, yeah, with Reggie Miller. I'm gonna try the search for the ones I've been using where it was like accurate and then the year. See if that's available. And if not, 1987 draft with Miller is honestly probably fine. All right, Trilly DeGoat, I will maintain my allegiance to your rosters, advance to next season. Power ranking is 6. Wow. There's some newfound optimism for the St. Louis Spirits. That's exciting. So they have the starting lineup as Johnny Davis, Dennis Johnson, Chris Mullen, Brad Doherty, Hakeem Olajuwon, Spud Webb, Bob McAdoo coming off the bench. I like that. If I could get like a legitimate small forward, maybe go with a 10-man rotation, that would be pretty fun. Let's see who's available in free agency. And hold on. Oh, I don't want to edit Adrian Dantley. You guys are going to take the league minimum, huh? Well, I'm not going to say no to that, right? Like, I mean, honestly, with Danley, I'd probably just move him to. Okay, yeah, man, if you're willing to accept this deal, I'm not going to say no to you. Okay. So Adrian Dantley, suddenly, member of the Spirits. That's pretty wild. What I'm going to do roster-wise, though, is I'm going to move some guys' positions. Dennis Johnson, you're going to play point guard now. We'll keep your secondary as shooting guard, but DJ, you're point guard. Chris Mullen. Do you want to move Chris Mullen or do you want to move Dantley to shooting guard? I'll move Dantley to shooting guard just because he's the less long-term commitment type player. Yeah, this feels like I'm kind of cheesing the system, but I mean, how do you say no to this as a roster? That's just like pretty wild. I will have to move a player if I want to get another player out of there, which I surely can. So let's see, who can I trade away? None of these guys are particularly expensive. Granville, wait, nah. So what Bill Willoughby, was he one of the rookies? Oh, he was probably the computer signed him, honestly. Yeah, there's a whole class of guys I'm not allowed to trade. I can trade David Wingate, or I could trade Andre Spencer. I'll see what's available for Andre Spencer. Again, I'm just trying to kind of clear him out so I can get one of these other players available. There's a couple teams that are throwing around second-round picks for him, which is... Yeah, let's take those Bulls second-round picks. We're already taking your other picks, so... Let's see, free agents. I mean, Larry Nance is just obviously a good player who's out there. He's getting 12.1 points per game. Yeah, I'm arguably not even going as like insane with this as I could, because I don't know that I necessarily want that guy, but all right, Larry Nance. I can't resist. All right. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to keep seeing guys, but Larry Nance is actually going to start at power forward now. Interesting. Like that is an alternate position for him, but that'll mean that Brad Doherty is going to just kind of be just an all-around bench player. Can play center and power forward. McAdoo is just strictly a power forward in this situation. Though we're going to want to expand, I think I don't know that I necessarily want either of those guys in the rotation. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to go with this as the starting roster. I'm feeling good about this team's chances. Their power ranking is 6. Let's see what happens if you go to the power rankings page. So, 6th according to NBA.com. Eric Bonish also has us at 6th. Yeah, that'll. And then the 2K Sports. It's a different one we were on, right? I feel like I'm losing it right now. Okay, clearly we're not the worst team in the NBA. I don't care what anyone says there. But yeah, I think we have a good setup for the future. Frankly, I think this is a playoff team. David Robinson, Reggie Miller, and we have a bunch of draft picks coming up too. So I think that this is really good. And Scottie Pippen, this is going to be, I think, the year that we really turn a corner, but we're still going to have guys available to make this team better because, as exciting as it is to have Adrian Dantley and Larry Nance out there, they're not going to end up being long-term pieces for us. And I know that. But yeah, a starting lineup where an 83 is the worst player is, yeah, pretty good. So we've stepped that up. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a day here. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, I'll fill you in next time with if this is a playoff team.